Okay, welcome to our show. This is Matiang Shirillo. Today we are so glad to host Dr. Peter Adwok Nyaba and Dr. Richard K Mulla. And today our discussion will be about the federal system in South Sudan. Dr. Peter Adwok, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much. Greetings to all who are listening and watching.
Okay. Dr. K Mulla.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here to discuss on federalism.
Okay. Okay, before we start, let's go for a short break and then we'll come back again. Okay, Dr. Richard K Mulla, in 5 minutes, why the federal system is the best for South Sudan?
It's the best system of governance because it has the concept of shared rule and self-rule. Shared rule is where everybody has to participate in the governance of the system, that is at the federal level. Things which are common to all of us, things like defense, foreign affairs, customs, immigration, and so forth. Shared rule is where there are regional issues of state nature like health, education, and so forth. So where there are these two systems of governance, you will take care of all the interests of the population. It is true that we are a multilingual, multi-ethnic, and multi-religious society, whereby we have to have our own autonomy, where there are interests which are best suited to the state or regional nature. Where we have a centralized system of government, like in a decentralized system of government where we are now, you have all the powers concentrated at the national level, and the states and the counties cannot exercise powers that are of interest to their people. They cannot deliver services to their people because everybody is looking at Juba. Everything is done in Juba. That is the reason that we need to have a federal system of government where there is sharing of responsibilities and sharing of resources. That is very important. If resources are not shared, then we face the current problem of lack of development, lack of services, because everything is concentrated in Juba. In a federal system, that would not be possible because resources and responsibilities would be shared equitably all over the country, from the national level to the local level.
Okay, you still have another 3 minutes. You can go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Also, federalism helps as a way of accommodating the ethnic and the regional differences in such a way that it gives opportunity for those who want to practice what is totally identical, different for them, to do it in their own way. Whereas in a centralized system, everybody is lumped together, and in this sense, you cannot express your own identity, which might be slightly different from the other. Federalism also helps in managing conflict. Since 2013, we have been at conflict with one another, and it's difficult to manage this conflict if we don't have to share powers and resources. So for all these reasons, reasons of power sharing, reasons of resource sharing, reasons of accommodating differences, reasons of managing conflict, reasons of even socio-economic development, reasons of participating in the system of governance. In a federal system, the leaders are elected by the electorate. Those commissioners will be elected by their people at the county level. The governors will be elected by the people at the state level, and the president and the rest will be elected by the nationwide constituency, in which case people will have sufficient opportunity to participate in their own governance, and that will realize the meaning of our sovereignty. We are sovereign. Where is sovereignty? The power of sovereignty rests with the people, and if people were a sovereign state, the Republic of South Sudan, if we cannot exercise our sovereignty freely in a democratically elected governance system, which is available under a federal system, then that sovereignty has been lost. It means we haven't enjoyed our sovereignty. We are not exercising our sovereignty, and that is a big deprivation for the people of South Sudan. We went to the bush to fight for the 23 years in order to be sovereign. And when we are sovereign, then we must be able to exercise our rights in a freely, democratically elected system of governance, which is available in federalism.
Okay, thanks, Dr. K Mulla. Dr. Adwok, you have a different...
Thank you very much, and of course this is the second time I have to talk about this. In fact, there is no much disagreement with what Professor Richard has said regarding the what needs or what actually the functions of a federal system is. There's not much difference about it. It's what is in the books and it's what it's supposed to be doing. The problem arises as to how to do it, how to achieve it. We know federalism in the way, in many of the countries that now practice federalism, it came as a result of people or independent people coming together, surrendering some of their rights, some of their powers to the central authority they are forming, and retaining them for the others for themselves. That's how the system in the United States works, operates. The system in Switzerland operates, but not in India, not in Nigeria, not in other countries which were colonial, post-colonial states, highly centralized, which were a question of now bringing the powers from above down to the people. And it was not done in the same way it was done before in the United States or in Switzerland, where you have certain people coming together and so on. So this is where the difference really comes. The other problem arises when the very idea of the demand for federalism in a country like Sudan, we have the history of it. And this is done because people are trying to run away. They see the situation or the system very big for them. They cannot face it. You see? So instead of struggling to change that system, and in order to create a better system for all, they want to separate. This is what the Junubin did. And they felt that the Arabs were more stronger, they were inferior to the Arabs, and that was the only way to survive was to separate from the Arabs. That's how federalism came up in the Sudan. In South Sudan, we also saw it again towards the end of the regional government in South Sudan, when people rose up to divide the South Sudan into 3 different states, different regions. It was also the same kind of thing, because instead of struggling, joining up to struggle against the bad system, people want to go away. And this is what our brothers in the Equatoria want yet. And some people, some politicians in Upper Nile did it. Like, for instance, when DK, Daniel Cord Matthews, raised the issue of Upper Nile without more. You see, so this is something raised not because you are really struggling in order to save and bring up a system which will save all people, but you want to separate yourself because you really feel inferior. You are unable to meet and to face that particular thing. Why is it being raised now? Because between 2005 and 2011, the system has been moving towards totalitarianism. And instead of facing it head-on, facing this totalitarianism to change it and make it democratic, people want to make it federal. Which means to me is like dividing this totalitarian thing into 11 or 10 small units, which will be more cumbersome for the people of South Sudan. To me, I think the best, Dr. Richard, is that instead of struggling for federalism, we know where the thing is wrong. I think it is much better for people of South Sudan to unite themselves against the system. In the same way, we rose up in 1983 against the Nimeri system and fought it and we got our state, which is now what we call South Sudan. So to me, federalism is not going to solve the problems which we have now. The problems of poverty, which is common across the board, the problems of ignorance, which is across the board, problem of illiteracy, the problem of disease, the problem of cultural underdevelopment. These are the problems which face our people in South Sudan, whether you are in Equatoria, in Barghazal, or in Upper Nile.
Okay,
so we need to face
this.
We need to face this head on by creating a system, a democratic system that can serve our people to the best of their desire. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. K Mulla, what's your comment? Is it all about the bad system that we are heading now?
Yeah, first of all, let me correct Dr. Peter Adwok a bit. You know, federalism does not only come in one way. The way he cited the history of America, Australia, Switzerland, you know. That is federalism by coming together. In those years, those small states, when they felt vulnerable, when they felt that they wanted bigger economic power, then they came together in order to give themselves, first of all, defense, so that they can stand together and defend themselves. Secondly, so that they can have a bigger market and be able to prosper. That is the coming together federalism, you see. But there is the holding together federalism, which is the second aspect of federalism. This is federalism when you are one, as we are today. You are one, but you feel that because of the differences that you have among yourselves, because of maybe the size of the country that you have, and because of the various activities that you want to undertake, you need to hold together. You need to divide the center. You know, you need to divide the power at the center and share some of those powers to the lower levels of government, so that they can be able to develop themselves and to give services themselves. So we are not following the example of those of Switzerland, America, or Australia, for that matter, which is dual federalism. We are a country that we feel we are big enough. We are big enough in terms of size, and we have our own different cultural and ethnic differences, which make us to conflict. And this happens in many countries. For example, Ethiopia. There was a lot of war in Ethiopia. So what they did was that they decided that in order to arrest conflict, in order to be able to bring lasting peace and prosperity to the country, let the people share power. It's power sharing arrangement. And in South Sudan, we have all along tried to share power. When he quoted the history of South Sudanese when we were the North, what the Southern Sudanese were trying to do was that they were trying to share power with the North. We South Sudanese were distinctly different from the Northerners. Okay. And we are a large country. Can we make an arrangement whereby power can be shared so that we live together? And not that they were running away. The secession came as a result of refusing to cooperate in establishing a federal system. Equally here, we are saying, look, South Sudan is a big country. We have 10 states. In fact, these 10 states are even too big. We need a bit more than 10, and we need less than 20-something, so that we are able to divide the power, responsibilities, resources, so that we are able to live together comfortably and equitably. Look here. How much resources are we giving to our states? How much resources are we giving to our counties? Equatorial is not running anywhere, running away from anybody. Neither is Upper Nile running away from anybody. We want to live together in comfort. We want to be able to share our things equitably, together, without quarrel. If you said we give, for example, the national government 60% of our resources, then we can say the 40% can go to the states and to the counties. And further there, we may be able to share. Say 25 will go to the states and 15 to the counties. In this way, we will be able to manage our affairs, make our development plans and our services, and render them to the people of South Sudan. Even if we say our system is autocratic and we remove it, after removing the autocratic system, we still need a system of governance. And what is that system of governance? And he's talking of democracy. Democracy is part and parcel of federalism. You cannot have federalism without democracy. You can have democracy without federalism, but federalism cannot be, you cannot have it without democracy. Is automatically part of it, because that is what it advocates. So we need a system of governance, not really the issue of that there is an autocratic system, we remove it, and what do we do after removing the autocratic system? We need a proper, good system of governance which is embedded in federalism.
Okay, Dr. K Mulla, what kind of federal system we need in South Sudan?
Yes.
Because this part is not clear for a lot of people.
Yes, many people have argued, what kind of a federal system do we need in South Sudan? You see, there are only two types of federal systems. It is dual federalism, which I talked about, which is practiced in America, in Australia, and so forth, and Canada, you see. And there is the cooperative type of federalism, which is practiced in Germany, in South Africa, and so forth. And during the national dialogue, we were able to come up with a solution that we need a cooperative and integrated type of federal system, whereby you will have 3 levels of government. They are all equals. They are co-equals. None is subordinate to the other. All will be practicing, exercising their powers within their spheres of governance, which is defined in the Constitution, and at the same time they will be able to cooperate across the board. There will be mechanisms whereby there will be intergovernmental relations between the counties, the states, and the federal government. So we came up with a territorial type of federalism. We will have our country divided as it is now, but with a bit more increment in terms of numbers, based on the territory, not on ethnicity. Many people fear of ethnic federalism, which exists in Ethiopia. We are not going to have a federal system that is based on ethnicity. We will have territorial federalism, whereby in every state there will be different types of tribes. You know, even right now, which state right now has a single tribe? I can't think of any. Maybe where all our states have different types of tribes as we exist now. Most of it, you say in Central Equatorial, how many tribes are here? In East, in West, in Bahar Ghazal. You see, we will have territorial federalism. At the same time, we will be able to cooperate among ourselves. And all are going to be designed in our federal constitution. We have seen successful examples of cooperative system in the world. As I was telling you, South Africa is one. You see.
Thank you. Dr. Adwok, why put federalism and Kokra also in one line?
No, this is why I said before, Mafian, that the call for federalism and the way it is being, people are agitating for it now, is being done in a manner because there is something people don't want to talk about. You know, we are not very frank with each other. You see, if we were really frank, it would have been easier. So people go round the bush in order to express what they have, their inner feeling. But to me, what was the whole idea of having a state in South Sudan? To me, the idea was to have a nation which would be a melting pot of all the 64 ethnicities. This is what we have been struggling for. Because you create a state, you know, which is just the opposite. Before it is you have a nation, then the nation makes the state. Now we have struggled to have a state in order to have a nation that is strong, that can compete with the others across in the region, that can build a strong economy. You see, that can defend itself, that can culturally develop its people. And this is linked to our struggle. We didn't struggle, we didn't go to the bush just because we want, no. It's just because the SPLM made a mistake. You see, an omission. Because it prosecuted a war outside the context, the ideological and political context. And this is why all these things have come up. Here, in the 21 years, nobody talked of federalism in South Sudan. Why is it a reason? It means there is a failure somewhere. Dr. Richard was a spokesman of the SPLM in London. He never talked one day about federalism in South Sudan as a demand of the people or as an objective for the fighting. Never. He has never done it. So where is it coming now? And that is the reason I'm trying to explain. That because there is something wrong, people are not very frank with each other. You see, we have been talking about building a nation in South Sudan, a nation of all these 263 people. But because of the mistake that has occurred between from 2005 and 2011, that's why the issue of federalism came up. And it should not be a problem. If it is a question of dispensing services to the people, it should not be a problem to anybody. If it is a question of power being exercised at the state, at the county level, then it shouldn't be a problem to anybody. But the problem now is linked. It's linked to a system, to a bad system that is already in place, which we all know, and people are afraid to talk about it.
Okay. Why, if
so to me, and this is I need to be very clear about this, that it is a failure to address people, because people are afraid to address the issue, the main issue. They are going around the bush trying to bring up issues that will try to arouse the people, appealing to the sentiments of people, like federalism, like so on. And you know the way it is being put now, that this has been historically the demand of people of South Sudan. No. When we demanded federalism, it was in because we said, as I explained, uh, it's because we felt inferior to the North. And that's why to be able to survive, we had to do this kind of thing, separate from them. But if, and this was because, partly because of the level of political awareness in South was still very low. You see, and once you have a low level of political understanding, it is difficult for you to analyze and have a correct understanding of issues. And this is the distortion that has occurred now. We have not been discussing these issues. People are not, even the political parties, they are not discussing it. Nobody is talking about it. So it comes up once in a while that, oh, we want this and we want this and we want this. No. You see, it should be part of a continuous process of resolving the problems which we have. If it ends up in federalism, because my real question to Richard and all those proponents of the federal system of government is, how are you going to do it? How will you destroy the center? Because the opportunity was lost during the Civil War. This was the opportunity to destroy the center and create a new dispensation by those who want the federal thing to rising up and coming up as a political force in order really to create this thing. Now it has not been possible. We are not going to do it through the parliament because now the power is so much concentrated in one hand. You see, you have to wait and see whether it will be the president who will decree the formation of a federal system or not.
Okay. Dr. Richard, can you answer
I
for
think
him?
somewhere Professor Adwok is trying to create a situation which is totally unimaginable. There is no agitation for a federal system. The word agitation is not in place. It is soul searching. We are soul searching. We want to find out what is the best system of governance for us all, that can accommodate us all, that can make all of us happy. When the national dialogue was established, they went down to the grassroots and came back with a report that the best system of governance for us now is a federal system. I don't see any agitation. Who went to agitate those people in the villages? Nobody. They are giving their free opinion. They are making their fair choice. So the word agitation doesn't arise. And then he goes on to say that there should be a melting pot. Now, what is this melting pot? Can all the 64 ethnic groups in South Sudan be put into a pot and be melted into one tribe? Can that happen really? Is this not what is?
It's a process.
No, there is nothing called melting pot.
Let him continue.
You cannot melt the 64 ethnic groups into one ethnic group. And even if that were possible, look at Germany. Germany is one homogeneous society, you see, and they still opted for federal because they are one homogeneous society. They have no serious differences, but yet they went to organize themselves in form of a federation into landers. You see, that is to promote development in Germany. So whatever you want to do, we are looking for a system, first of all, where we can be stable. Secondly, where we can be able to develop ourselves, where we can be able to obtain services for ourselves. Now you say destroying the center. Well, I mean, here we have a process. The peace process is there. There is going to be a constitutional conference. The constitutional conference is where there is going to be redesigning of the Constitution. And this is where the powers of the center will be limited to what is necessary for it to have, and the powers of the states and the counties will be subtracted from the center. So there is a possibility through the Constitutional Conference that we can redesign our Constitution in such a manner that we are able to give every level of government sufficient powers and resources to be able to manage the affairs of the country. We are not all living in Juba. We are living all over the place. The majority of the population are in the villages, and they need those powers, they need those resources to be able to develop themselves. So what is this center you are talking of being destroyed? Huh? There is nothing left to be destroyed. It's only redesigning the Constitution in order to accommodate the interests of everybody. But there is somewhere you say there is no continuous debate. The people of South Sudan have been continuously talking of federalism since 1947. When did we stop it? We never stopped. Yes, I was spokesman in London. When I was spokesman in London, we were fighting against marginalization for the North, with the North. We were fighting against marginalization. It was not a time for us to talk of the type of government we wanted. Now that we are free, we are now in position. Say, okay, we have now taken off the North, we're alone. Now what system can we have? This is the right time for us to talk of the system of governance. In fact, we are a bit late. We should have started this in 2005. And I think by now, we would have a properly established federal system of governance, and probably we would have avoided the war of 2013 of fighting over power.
Okay,
people fight over power and resources, my dear.
Okay,
it's power and resources that people
No, but I want to correct this, because the German states, the German landers were independent landers until Bismarck forcefully brought them together to have what you call the...
They're homogeneous enough. They're homogeneous.
Yeah, but they were independent.
If our aspiration is to
it's just like the it's like the moral sections. They are independent and they're not...
Okay, let's go for Doctor. Let's go for a short break and then we'll come back again. Okay, welcome again. I have there's some question here to Honorable K Mulla. What is the matter of the system not to be accepted? What? By civilians? You can do for our brothers and sisters in Equatorial region. To accept it.
Federalism is not an Equatorial issue. It's an issue for the whole of South Sudan. And from the findings of the national dialogue, the whole South, Greater Bahr Ghazal, Greater Upper Nile, and Greater Equatorial are all for federalism. There is nothing left to be done. All that they need to do is to be taught what exactly it is, what are its advantages and disadvantages, and how can we overcome the disadvantages of federalism. But it is acceptable to all now. It's not an Equatorian issue, it's a South Sudanese issue.
Okay, also there's another question. Why the majority of Bahr Ghazal and Upper Nile, assuming that the federal system is a demand for Equatorial only, so that they are going to create their state separate than Bahr Ghazal and
Still the same answer I'll give. Look, the whole matter is
No, what is being implied here is that the Equatorians want to separate from the rest. And that is why, to them, this is federalism is an intermediate state.
I see. Now, what is the evidence that Equatorial really wants to secede? Well, you see, this is a unnecessary accusation because Equatorial has never talked of secession. When have they heard an Equatorian leader saying, we want to secede. Federalism is not secession. Federalism is sharing of power and resources. And that's it. And should it succeed, then we will have a stable and peaceful South Sudan. So Upper Nile and Bahar Ghazal should equally feel happy that federalism can bring services and development to their regions. Why are they afraid of it? They have people, they have land, they have resources which can be exploited and used for the benefit of their own areas. So I really don't see this unnecessary fear that there is a hidden Equatorian agenda for secession. That's not in place.
Okay, Dr. Adwok, في سؤال هنا, why do you think people should destroy the center and then they come and talk again about the federal system?
Yeah, that's how you do. If you want to create a genuine federal system, you need to destroy the center. To destroy the center and take its powers to the other components of the system, because you cannot still maintain the center and talk of a federal system. You see, the two cannot go together. So for those, and this was my argument with Riak, that if he wanted federalism, then since there was war, this was 2014, the issue now would be he should not claim to be the president of South Sudan. He should allow the Equatorians, those who have joined him, to go and form their own organization and fight for Equatoria. Okay, those of Barghazal to go and do the same. So we fight in our areas, and because the center is in Juba, you overthrow that system. You will come as, and because he was a leader then, actually the third important person in the system, as the Secretary General of the IO. So he would come as a leader of Equatoria, okay, and impose and come with his conditions for a federal system, which was the other two, Barghazal and Apanal. The same thing was Riyadh, the same thing was anybody, this Naida, Khamis Abdelatif would have done the same. So this is what it means by destroying the center. Such that the three, when they come, they will now be representing the three regions, the three federal components of the system.
Okay.
Federalism is not talking about destroying the center. You don't have to destroy the center in order to establish a
This is my theory.
No, your theory is out of place. You see, federalism means you must limit the powers of the center. You limit the powers of the center and give some powers to the lower levels of government. It does not mean destroy. Why do you destroy the center? We are one.
Okay. Okay, another question to Dr. Adwok. Oh, there another question for you, Dr. K Mulla, but this question for Dr. Adwok. The question is, what is the difference between you and Jalaba mentality? Because you are against the federal system.
No. Jalaba mentality, I don't know what you would call Jalaba mentality, because Jalaba, the system which we were fighting in the north was a system, it was an oppressive system. It was based on political exclusion of other people. It was based on marginalization, economic marginalization, and social discrimination based on religion, on culture, and on language. I don't have that kind of thing. I'm a Democrat, and a revolutionary Democrat for that matter. So what I'm talking about, for the sake of argument, is that if Richard wants a federal system, this is one way of achieving this federal system. It doesn't mean that I become a Jalaba because I'm saying that. No, I think this would be a misunderstanding of the issues. And this is what I warned the people before, that they should not misunderstand what it is. This was for the sake of argument, as it is, because the system is still in place. And he has rejected the idea of agitation. Because I said it was people are agitating, and there are people agitated very emotionally, are even agitating for federalism in some areas, because they hate to see some of the people in situations of power and authority. So really, there's a difference between me and the mentality with the Jalaba. The Jalaba are not Democrats. They are oppressive people who want to colonize others.
Okay, there another question to K Mulla. What will happen what will happen if the government reject the federal system in the future?
I think the government will find it very hard to reject the federal system. First of all, who is the government? The government is the people. Okay? And the people are saying we want federalism. And who is that person who is going to say no? You mean the president will say no? When the Constitutional Conference accepts federalism, when Parliament adopts federalism, can the president say no?
What if the parliament didn't accept?
It's very difficult. Who makes up the parliament? The parliament is the people. And the people have started talking from the grassroots. And the people at the grassroots are talking. And these people who are in parliament are coming from the grassroots. They are representatives of the grassroots. And how are they going to say something contrary to the grassroots? Then it would not be in place. You see. Whatever the case, as much as there is consensus among the people that this is the system of governance we want, it will take place. Let me tell you, there has been history of this in other countries. Resistance. Take Kenya, for example. Majimbo, which is federal, was started in the time of Mzee Kenyatta. Kenyatta resisted all these years. It came to Arab Moi. Arab Moi resisted all these years. Now, devolution is being implemented by who? By the son of Kenyatta. The son of Kenyatta. If let us say, okay, President Kir doesn't accept it, maybe the son of Kir will implement it. If we take the example of Kenya. Yeah? Okay.
But that is devolution, it is not Mujimboism. But that devolution, it was not
once people have set on something that they want this thing to happen, however, how long a leader delays, it will always happen even after the leader.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Adwok, the federal system is demand of a lot of the people of South Sudan. Why are you going in different way?
It is not a demand of a lot of people. It is a demand of elite, actually. It is the elite. Because they want power, they want wealth. That's it. You see? It's, and by the way, this is what happened. I'll just give you an example. When the southern region was divided into 3 regions, okay, in 1983, I was here in Juba. And here in Juba, we had a problem of the same agitation that all the people of Western Equatoria had become another Jange. So they wanted to separate the Central Equatoria. That's how the East and Central Equatoria came out of this situation. I was warning people, this thing of dividing, because it's not objectively to resolve the economic and social, cultural problems which are really existing and facing our people. These are demands to address the issues and demands of the elite, people who want power and who want wealth, who want positions. You see, because once this division of the South was met, still The, what people were saying that the services now will go to the people. It did not go to the people. It did not go to the people. So it generated another movement for more divisions. You see, it generated, and that's why we have ended up with 10 states. This was now, it didn't just come by itself. You know, it came as a result of this kind of thing, because people are still talking, where are the resources, where are the services, where are the kind of, because the elite don't have, they are not a productive force. They don't control any means of production. So where are they getting the resources for delivering services to the people? Even we had here in after 2005, we had a lot of South Sudan, or the government of South Sudan came up with, was formed on a real silver spoon in the mouth. A lot of money. Where did this money go to?
Okay.
Huh? Did it translate into services and economic development for our people? So these are what the elite will always be talking.
Okay.
So it's not the people saying this.
Okay. Now we come to the end of the program, but in conclusion,
Is the national dialogue
I
not
will
people?
give.
I want to ask you that, is national dialogue not people?
There was no dialogue, by the way.
What was it?
It was a fact finding, which these people did.
And
What is a dialogue?
What did they not?
Monologue. You call a monologue?
Monologue.
It was a monologue.
They were monologue.
Yes.
What did the IO do? The IO came up with the same calculations.
No. Which IO?
This issue.
Which IO now?
It was IO.
It was a monologue. Actually, listen, they overjumped the process. What should have happened? And by the way, it was just a repeat of what the SPLM did in 2012. And they went to the people to ask the people to evaluate. Now, the people said that thing, that you, SPLM, you have deviated from the vision. You have misled, you have betrayed us. Okay, it's the same process that went. And this is what the people told those guys who went to ask this thing. Now, to call it a dialogue, you need to define what were the issues.
The issues were defined.
What were they? What were these issues?
People talked, people expressed. I don't know what you mean by that. Dialogue means talking.
Okay, Doctor, I will give you 1 minute to conclude.
Yes, please. That's
You go.
To conclude.
Yeah, summary in 1 minute.
Definitely. Well, I'm very hopeful that the people of South Sudan know what they want, and they know the type of federal system they want, and now they are going to work hard to establish that kind of federal system through the processes which are going to come. One is the National Constitutional Conference, which is going to design the type of federal constitution they want, and secondly, it will be adopted by the Parliament as a permanent federal constitution for the people of South Sudan. They are on their way to establishing the system of governance they want. I think Peter is out of date and is not going to catch up with what is going to happen.
Okay. Summary in 1 minute, Dr. Adwok.
Well, my position on federalism remains the same, because to me, the whole idea, the whole struggle, the 60 years of the struggle against the Northwest to have a nation made up from the 64 or more ethnic communities in South Sudan. And it's a process. Formation of a nation is a process, because facilitated by the state. But a state which must be democratic, a state that is based on rule of law, a state that is made up, whose leadership is made up of people who put the people in the center of their social, economic, and political engineering processes. That's it, what it is. We have not been able to achieve it, and I think this is registered in the kind of problems which we are facing now. Although they are not really expressed clearly, but they register there, and with time, I'm sure most of They will become much more clearer, and people will become more aware of what the real problems are. Instead of them fighting themselves now, or killing themselves, and in what is happening in the counties and the communities. I think this is an appeal to the elite, who are really the drivers of this conflict among our people, to desist from this kind of thing and allow our people really to recreate their lives, to settle and implement the peace process. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Now we are come for the end of our program. Thank you, Dr. Peter Adwok. Thank you, Dr. K Mulla.